It's definitely a milestone, Algeria marking a half-century of independence with a mammoth firework display in the port of Sidi Frej, where a French expeditionary force first landed back in 1830, this while across the Mediterranean. The story this Thursday barely got a mention on the French lunchtime news. A vicious 8-year war of independence would mark the death knell of France's colonial empire and create, I guess you could call it, a unique love-hate relationship that endures. In France, it's a bitter memory for the mostly poor colonists, Pieds Noirs, Blackfoots, expelled in 1962, alongside Algerian Harkis who had fought for France. Among the 80% of Algerians born after independence, well, many see the constant references to the past as a way of sidestepping the challenges of today. On the one hand, huge oil and gas wealth, but it's unevenly distributed. A political and military elite rife with corruption, and the scars of the brutal civil war of the 1990s never quite healed. Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at Algeria 50 years on, and joining us from Algiers, let's welcome back an economist, former advisor to President Bouteflika, Malek Sarai. Thank you for being with us. We want to thank as well Naji Ben Hassin of the Young Civic Leaders think tank NABNI, Columbia University's Matthew Connolly, author of A Diplomatic Revolution, Algeria's Fight for Independence. And here in the studio with us is Pierre Conessa, author and teacher at the French Political Science Institute, Sciences Po. Welcome back to the show. And you yourself born in Algeria.
Yes, exactly. The Blackfeet, as you said.
Pieds Noirs.
Yes.
How old were you when you came to...
I was 13, which means not so young and not so old.
Did you have family here?
Yeah. All my family. My parents were born in Algeria, and my grandparents came from Spain and Italy. And so we immigrate twice in 3 generations.
And now so here you are in France.
Completely.
Okay. The France 24 debate, where you can always weigh in on the conversation, by the way, on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at FrançoisF24. We'll be looking at your comments in a moment. Now, this Thursday, the President, Abdelaziz Bouteflika, going to the Sanctuary of the Martyrs to lay a wreath. This is in the capital. Officially, it was 1.5 million Algerians who were killed between 1954 and 62. And again, today it's still a sore subject.
The Algerian War of Independence, 8 years of bloody clashes, leaving between 400,000 and 1 million dead. Generations on both sides of the Mediterranean left traumatized. 50 years on in Algiers, the wounds have not fully healed, even among those who weren't even born then.
I think we are owed an apology because the blood of the martyrs was a heavy price. France should apologize. Algeria's links with France are certainly important, but France should apologize.
For decades, the war was referred to euphemistically by French authorities as incidents, but in Algeria they speak of it as a revolution, one that is taught to children at a young age.
The Algerian Revolution was a noble one. Today we live well. Conditions are clearly better, and we hope Franco-Algerian relations will be based on sharing and mutual respect.
Every family has a grandfather or great-uncle who fought for Algerian independence. Many of their grandchildren today see France not as the former colonial power, but a country Algeria ought to have a special relationship with.
As an Algerian citizen, I speak of a common past between Algeria and France, as a historical reality that we can't pretend didn't happen. But we'd like to look to a future based on respect for common interests. We have no problem building strong relations with the French people.
These young Algerians have no intention of forgetting, but they are prepared to open a new chapter in Franco-Algerian relations.
And we should know more about that new chapter in the coming days when the French foreign minister travels to Algiers July 15th and 16th. We'll touch on that in a moment. First, though, let's go to Algiers. Malek Sarai, let me ask you the question. I guess when you look at that report and you hear the comments of those young women, is the celebrations that have been taking place yesterday and today, are they celebrations of a victory over the French?
Well, it's not only victory about against French, but it's victory about against poverty and ignorance, because during these 50 years, Algeria do the best to build its economy and to try to give the maximum of, all the means to the Algerian people. Since, for example, in terms of education, at the independence, we had only 60 universities, and the unique University of Algiers. Now we have not less than 86 university, institute, and specialized schools. That means that it's not only political, but the battle is, let's say, the battle is more, economical, social, and diplomatic, because we have to keep our place in the world. We have our place in Africa. We have our place in the Euro-Mediterranean area. But also we have our dynamic, diplomacy in Arab world. As far as French is concerned, we are concerned that the importance of our relations are very strong, and we need to work how to build a very strong bridge for cooperation between France and Algeria, because all the young people born after the 62 or even more, they don't know much about the revolution. They don't know much about what we inherited from the war. That's why we must give them, the best way to cooperate in the future. We need to be more and more close, because we have, few million Algerians, they are in France, but at the same time, we have social relation between the two countries, between the two people, and also we have interest between the two countries. We are a young country, we are exporting raw materials, and France need our approach, and also we need the presence of France, because we are going straight to the European Union, and we need France to be with us for all kind of file in this case.
That's an important point. 2 million Algerians
yes.
Who live in France today. Let me ask you, Naji Ben Hassin, for you, what is the significance of this 50th anniversary?
Well, it's quite symbolic. I'm actually sitting right now in Sidi Frej, where the French came in 1830. For the Algerian youth, while jobs, education, better standards of living is the priority, there is still today, frankly, talking to a few of them today, a sense of pride about what our older generation have done. And we try through civil society or what we do to be at the same level of ambition and audacious as much as what they have been in the past. But looking forward, what Algeria needs today is more economic diversification, trying to prepare for the next phase of our economic growth and development. A lot has been done, but a lot remains to be done. So, but it's a day of optimism and proud.
All right, and we'll definitely get back to that. Let me ask you, by the way, we're pleased to welcome at this point, welcome back to Debate Linguist, Mohamed Hinin. Thank you for being with us. Mohamed, you're not Algerian, you're Tunisian.
Yes.
When you hear it described here, because Tunisia also was a former French colony. It was actually the official term, I believe, was a protectorate.
Yes.
But you didn't have that. You don't have that sort of love-hate relationship with France the way Algeria does.
Certainly, yes. I think the relationship between France and Algeria is so special, and the huge heritage and certainly heavy memory between the two countries this is what makes the relations so special. But I think that what we are celebrating today in Algeria, that's mean we are seeing another board deeply moving, and what we are seeing in Algeria here, it's a kind of celebration. What we are celebrating success, what they did to the youth of Algeria, what is happening, what are the deep changes that are made in Algeria. Why not we are speaking all time about the past? Why not building real bridges? Why not taking courage decisions and tell the youth of Algeria that the real raw materials your guests are talking about, the huge reserves of oil, gas that can build these reserves, that can build the future of this Algerian youth. Where are they going? why we are assisting today to a unique dream for the Algerian youth is to cross the sea and to build a new dream in Europe.
All right, Matthew Connolly is with us as well in Algiers. Matthew, here we are. Where I'm asking the rest of the panel what they see as the significance of the 50th anniversary of independence. I'm asking if it's about the relationship with France. And so far, everyone is talking much more about what it means just simply for Algeria itself. There isn't much talk about France where you are?
Oh, there is. I mean, whenever you get together a group of young people, of old people, they'll tell stories, about what happened during the revolution. And also the young people here have learned from a very early age, a certain version of that history. But then they hear other versions of that history from their parents, from their grandparents. And so, yes, they hear about France and what France did here. But I have to say, that for many of the people that I've met, this is a very poignant moment because it's probably the last time that a whole generation of Algerians who witness these events themselves are going to be here to tell those stories, on one of the big anniversaries, like the 50th anniversary. And for many of them, and certainly for their children, their grandchildren, that revolution is still unfulfilled. The promise of those days are yet to be realized.
Pierre Conessa, we haven't seen, and it's been something that's been clamored for on the part of the Algerians, which is a formal apology on the part of France. There are hints that in that visit by the French foreign minister in the coming days, we may get something, although they're playing coy about exactly what they will say. When you hear Matthew Connolly say that it's perhaps the last time that those old people, the ones who lived through the revolution, will be able to gather in such numbers, is now the right time for some kind of a more open and frank discussion between France and Algeria about what happened?
Well, I think it's always time for frank discussions with Algeria. The question is that I do think that the Algerian nationalism has been built against France and French language nationalism, which means that when political leaders need to say something and they lack arguments, they use França, which means le Parti de la France, which means if a political leader must be accused of everything, he is just accused to be the French partner. So it's really difficult to build a trust relationship with such leaders. The main problem of Algeria today, I think, is they are celebrating the past. They are not looking at the future. They are trying to explain to young people who have no jobs, who have no money, who have no apartments, that they must be proud of a revolution which has been closed in '62, which means that, just take an example, if we had, for example, to celebrate the First World War, we should have celebrated till '62 or '68, you understand, 50 years later? That's quite unthinkable for us, you understand? And for Algeria, it's
there is a national holiday in France for the First World War.
Yes, but one day is different of 50 years after. You understand what it means? It's just a look on the past. And the question is, how do you want to build a new relationship where we just use this argument to be political leaders?
On the France 24 Debate Facebook page, we asked you, should the Algerians have invited the French to commemorations? And well, your opinions were a little bit divided. There was Adabong saying, it's a political message. You've overstayed your welcome. By the way, must an old Frenchman also always be front row seated in any political event in Africa? However, Imad says, I'm in favor of reconciliation, but cooperation should be based on equal terms and mutual respect. That comment from Twitter. Malik Sarai, should the Algerian government have invited the French to these celebrations?
I believe it's possible, yes. Why? Because if we had better communication between the two countries, if we have more and more exchange of visits between all the political responsible, I think we could reach this new kind of good relation. And why not? Because now, as I said, once again, we are not only talking about the past our history. But now I'm not exactly, with the two gentlemen who say that Algerians, they are talking about only the past. No, we are talking more and more about what we are building, what we built during this 50 years, and what was the result in terms of, positive aspect, also a negative aspect to correct, because the young people, most of 75% of Algerians are less than 35 years old, and then they need, program of development. They don't need much of, political business, let's say that. That's why I believe that if we are conscious about our possibilities, our future, because whatever we have the same future together.
Right, so consensus on that
language,
point.
We are geographically face to face. We have social connections. We have bilateral trade very strong.
So they should have
French technology in Algeria. That we should go more and more near to each other, because we are the two people who could do the best than any other connections in the world.
Well, let me just put the question briefly to Pierre Conessa. To break the ice, should the French apologize for torture, for war crimes committed during the Algerian War of Independence? Pierre Conessa?
I'm not sure. I don't think that the opinion is ready to...
One second, please, Malik Sarai. Just Pierre Conessa.
I'm not sure that the French opinion is ready to accept, apologize. I don't think so. I don't know the exact situation of the poll, and it's a political gesture. If a French president decided to do it, he had to do it, but it's a political gesture, you understand? It's not a question of poll. We can do it. We can do it. The question is not that. Algeria won't be better after apologize. Algeria has to face its own problems. The young people dancing in the street are not looking about the past to know if French has committed torturous act. The question for them is to get job, to get married, to get apartment, and what's the responsibility of the new leaders? They're just celebrating their victory.
Matthew Connolly, do you agree that if it's that an apology wouldn't change much?
Well, not really. No, it wouldn't change much. It would be a cheap gesture, but that's not a reason why they shouldn't do it. If it's cheap and easy to
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit, Matthew Connolly.
Then it's
the wonders of Skype. Let me ask Naji Ben Hassin. Do you agree with that?
If I agree whether an apology for France would change anything?
Yes.
For Algeria and our future, no. This is not for France itself. This I don't know. Maybe France has a problem with its memory and its black pages of its history. But for Algerians, we're looking ahead, and we will not forget the past. I think the relations would improve, the understanding and trust would improve if we saw that France acknowledges the crimes they committed, yes. But would that change our fate? No.
All right, so it could break the ice, but not necessarily change the way the bilateral relations evolve. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be looking not at Algeria then, but the way Algeria is today. This is the France 24 debate.